ready.
So as these homes were abandoned, a lot of them were torn down. So we had a lot of alleys and lots where I grew up at. And that became a dumping ground for trash and debris and things and whatnot. And one of the things that they used that for was the drug dealers would use to hide their stash. People just had no pride in their neighborhood. People just lived like slobs. And, you know, there's a system. You put out your trash every such and such day, and you have the trash man take your trash away. But some people from other blocks will come on your block and just dump all their trash in those lots. One of the things I noticed today is like the Philadelphia Mill Beautiful, where they took these lots and they cleaned them up. And they built these little wooden fences around them. So I found that helps a lot for two reasons. One, it makes the neighborhood a lot nicer compared to seeing the trash. And it also prevents drug dealers from using these areas to stash their drugs. Another issue was abandoned cars. Thousands and thousands of abandoned cars in our district, in our area, in our neighborhood. And a lot of them were stolen, or they were broke down, and they would dump them in lots. They were leaking oil, kids were playing in trunks, kids were playing in glass. And one of the things the city started doing, which I was impressed with, was the abandoned auto unit, where now when you report a car abandoned, you know, they come and they tow that car and they take it away. It doesn't sit in an alley for 3, 4, 6, 8 months. So I noticed that was something positive. I noticed that we had a lot of graffiti, whether it was gang related or just kids, you know, making a name for themselves. They were graffitiing the abandoned houses. They were graffitiing businesses. They were graffitiing people's homes. And today, I believe the Anti-Graffiti Network comes out and they wash that off and they clean it off as quick as they could. So that was a big improvement. So there were some city services that are working now that we didn't see back then. Another change was the demographics in my area. Not too far from where I grew up, it's now called Northern Liberties, where you know, it's been rejuvenated. You got a whole new different class of people who moved in. And we have a lot of businesses that are moving back into that area, and it's revitalized. So it's nice to see a part of the city that was once abandoned and dilapidated and barely, you know, anyone never came into that neighborhood until today, where you have apartment buildings, you have a supermarket now, Second and Girard. You have a lot of different cars, you have a lot of different stores, you have a shopping plaza. We didn't have that 20, 25 years ago. So we got a different group of people who now reside in that area. So I noticed that change was for the better. And along with that comes new crime. Theft from autos went up, robberies went up, because people found that place to be an opportunity where they could come in and rob from people who aren't familiar with the neighborhood.
So talk about how important the community is getting together to take back their own.
One of the key components of a thriving, safe, good community is community involvement. And we hear that all the time, community involvement, community involvement. What does that really mean? What that really means is that every resident who lives in that neighborhood has to take a personal interest and a personal mission to invest their personal time in that neighborhood. And it could be something small, whether it could be something that they do on a Saturday afternoon, or it could be something that they could do in the evenings, like a town watch. But without community involvement, no one's going to come in from a different part of the city and say, we're going to help you clean this up. It doesn't work that way. And one of the things that John and I try to instill in people is to help them organize, pick up the pieces themselves, and put something together with the support of the police, support of all the city social service agencies, community organizations, everyone come in together and say, we're going to clean this neighborhood up. But a lot of times, one of the things that we get is the people want to organize, they want to do something, but they're not sure how, and so the ball gets dropped and no one does nothing. And it's frustrating because you want to help these people, you want to make their community a little safer, a little better, a little more thriving. Everyone wants to live in a peaceful environment, but if the people who live in that neighborhood and are part of that community don't get involved, then it's not going to work. You can't rely on other agencies and other organizations to come in and say, we're going to do this for you. We can't do it for you. We can help you. We can assist you. We can give you resources. We can give you guidance. We can educate. Perfect example, Town Watch. Philadelphia More Beautiful. Philadelphia Police Department. Philadelphia Fire Department. There's services that they provide to communities that people aren't aware of. I think most of it has to do with fear. Fear of reprisal, fear of bad people coming back and taking action against them in a negative way. A lot of it has to do with, oh, that's not my problem. I'm only in control of my house and my kids. What happens out there is not under my control. And a lot of it has to do with they're not informed, they're not educated. They don't know what it is they can and can't do. But I think the number one reason that communities fall apart is fear. It's fear of if there's a drug gang on that corner, if there's a shootout. No one wants to be a witness. No one wants to say, hey, I saw what happened, because they fear, these people coming back after them. But also, a lot of families who move in, don't stay long. There might be a quick, how do you say it? They come in, they only live there for a year or two, and then they move out. Like the turnaround rate is high. So why should I invest in anything like a town watch? Why should I volunteer to clean this lot? Why do I have to do this all the time? I'm not going to be here that long anyway. I'm out of here. So there's no real connection, no real ownership of that community. Another reason could be that it's always the same people who are doing all of the work all the time. And they get tired, they get fed up, and they say, why should I have to do this?
6 o'clock, he's showing up at 6:40.
Most of those,
I can't hear you.
most of those drug dealers you talked about, that are standing in the corner, they live in that neighborhood.
Oh, that's a good point. One of the things I found out as a cop, and Johnny and I talk about this all the time, is most of these people who come in the neighborhood and terrorize and sell drugs and commit crimes are not even from the neighborhood. That's the biggest thing with me, is you're gonna come into my area and destroy it and then go home and sleep peacefully at night, and I gotta deal with your mess. And one of the things we try to tell community organizations and neighborhoods and block captains and whoever we come in contact with is, listen, this is your neighborhood. These people don't even live here. A lot of these people come from across the city. They come from across another different neighborhood. They come from across the bridge. They come from everywhere. And they cause havoc in your neighborhood. And I just don't understand that. I don't understand how you're gonna let somebody come in your house and flip it upside down and then leave. And one of the things we try to empower them is by saying, listen, this is your neighborhood. These people don't even belong here. You know who belongs here. You know when Maria gets up for work at 7 in the morning, her car should be there. You know when Julio opens the grocery store at 9 o'clock in the morning, the light comes on every day. You know everybody's habits. You know everybody's coming and goings. So you're vigilant with that, looking out for your neighbor. Why aren't you vigilant about who doesn't belong there? It shouldn't be hard to figure out who doesn't belong in that neighborhood. And that's not trying to shut anybody out. That's just laying groundwork for saying this community is organized, and we don't tolerate and we don't condone this type of behavior here. You can be a part of this community based on how we want it, but if you come in here and you think you're going to sell drugs on this corner, or if you think you're going to park abandoned cars and stolen cars, and you're going to come around and graffiti the walls and paint up the poles and steal the metal out of here and come and, we're not going to, so if you were really organized really well, these criminals are going to say, I'm not going to open up a drug corner there. They're too much trouble. They constantly call the cops on us. They're going to go somewhere where people are going to shut their windows, lock their doors, turn off their porch lights, and then they can do whatever they want. Drug dealers go where cops aren't. Drug dealers go where there's less resistance. That's how I feel.
So
I like that.
I missed some of it, but did you talk about like the projects we're working on and how the neighbors are starting to come together now, stuff like that?
No, I've been bouncing around. One of the many projects that we worked on is helping the organized communities to do. We started out small, and it was something as simple as a cleanup, a block cleanup, and then maybe after a block cleanup, maybe we could tackle on a certain lot, turn that into a garden, take a local playground and start taking ownership of that playground and cleaning it up and getting all city services to come in and help us and fix that playground up and put up signs and show people that, look, somebody here cares. Somebody here is working to better this neighborhood, whether it's cleaning up the park or cleaning up the lot. So a lot of the humps that we kept coming up were, a lot of the residents weren't sure how to do the organizing, how to get together, how to find out what city services are available. And we were able to bridge that gap between the community, city services, the police. So, you know, like we did at 5th and York, where we work with several different community organizations to help clean and fix the park. But the important part is that we make sure that they are the ones who do the work. They're personally responsible for improvements. They take that challenge on and they hold on to that, I don't know what the word is, but it's their baby. They can't rely on John and I, they can't rely on City Hall. This is your baby, we're gonna leave it with you, and you keep it the way it is, and you work to improve it and make it how you want it for your community. So we put the ball in their court. And one of the things we try to do is empower them so that we don't have to keep coming back and resolving any problems that they might have, because they now know who to call, they now know where to go, they now know how to get the people out and clean that and attack that problem.
So talk about why we chose this park in particular, 5th and York, with being the central, the center of our biggest problem area and the most neglected area in our district.
Well, when Jenny and I started this project, 3 years ago, we noticed that there was a high crime, high drug, high shootings, you name it, around 5th and York area. It's also right smack in the middle of our district, of this area. So we figured we'd start something here and then spread out evenly, like we go 3 or 4 blocks that way, 3 or 4, whatever direction. But we wanted to start it out in the middle. One, the services were needed here. badly. They had a lot of issues around here. So the park was the perfect vehicle to come in and empower the neighborhood, empower the residents to come in and say, you don't have to, we're not here to save everybody. And we're not gonna change everything overnight. But if we start with something small, and whether that's having a fair and bringing entertainment and doing stuff for the kids, but something as small as, let's clean this park up. Let's roll our sleeves up and start working on this park and see how we can make that grow. And I think after the transition where you see the park now compared to how it was 3-4 years ago, you know, a lot of people were excited, a lot of people had hope, a lot of people realized, hey, we can do this. So it gave them a spark. And you know, we wanted to use that spark here, but also to move it in other areas where we can start lighting sparks up in other parts of the community and show them that, look, like when they come to the meeting and say, this can't be done, we've tried this before, and say, listen, look at 5th and York, look at what they did. Look at how that community got back up on its feet and revived, and people started getting involved.
It's all about how the park was before. What, chasing the boys out of there.